So this is what we're seeing so far this morning. Temperatures in the upper 60s to lower 70s. Very warm when you actually compare it to what we're supposed to be seeing, more of the lower 60s. So 70 in Tallahassee, 70 in Perry, 70 in Live Oak, a warm 78 in Apalachicola. Still not really concerned with fog. Yes, visibility is at 7 in Valdosta, but that's not going to impact roadways because you need it to drop below that 2-mile threshold for it to really start impacting visibility in terms of cars seeing other cars. The next 27, lower 90s expected for the afternoon and evening rush, mid 90s possible later on this week, and I'll have those details on Sunrise.
Right now at 6, Tallahassee residents share concerns to the chief of police, and it gets heated.
Plus, a total of now 5 people have been arrested for the death of a man found stuffed in the trunk of a car at an apartment complex in Tallahassee.
Wake up, you gotta shine with the sun. It's all about early, and I wanna be there.
Breaking news into our newsroom this morning. Florida A&M University has sent out an alert telling students to be aware of their surroundings.
The alert mentions 2 unknown black men were seen both carrying handguns in the area of Phase 3 Building 162.
The 2 men are said to have tattoos on or near their faces. Officials ask if you see them to contact FAMU Police at 850-599-3256.
And we are working to learn more information. We'll pass off any updates to you on air and online at WTXL.tv.
I said, look at my truck, there's your witness. My truck is just, is this a speed limit? 10 miles different, reels my truck? Yes, ma'am. Well, that's what it is, you get cut off at that.
Tempers fly during Tallahassee Police Chief Michael DeLeo's first community forum. An evening with Chief DeLeo was held at Christian Heritage Church to give locals the opportunity to voice concerns and for the Tallahassee Police Department to share initiatives. Many community members fired questions at Chief DeLeo. TPD hopes to build dialogue with residents to address crime in the capital city.
Conversations can get heated at times, but again, it's just people passionate about their community, and TPD is here to speak with their community members and meet all of them head on and let them know that we're here to serve them.
Now, the public forums will continue and be held at various locations throughout the year. Be sure to check out our website, WTXL.tv, for the next meeting.
6:03 now. A 5th suspect is now facing charges in connection to the murder of Hoyt Burge. Stanley West is charged with murder, aggravated battery, false imprisonment, and possession of a firearm during a felony. Burge was killed last week when investigators say a gun went off during a fight at a home on Mission Road. His body was later found in the trunk of a car at a Tallahassee apartment complex. West, along with David Howard, Paige Vowell, Paige Briggs, and Patrick Borain are all facing charges.
A hearing for the man accused of killing Tiffany Nance has been postponed. Brian Massey's case management hearing was originally scheduled for Tuesday. Now it's been delayed to August 22nd. We are unsure as to why this occurred, but we are working to get the details on that. In January, Nance's body was found in a wooded area by a local hunter. Detectives say DNA evidence matching Massey's was found at the crime scene. They also say Massey had been wearing a GPS monitor around the time of the homicide and that the tracking device connected him to the location where her body was found. Massey is being held without bond.
6:04 to Georgia now, where a homeowner there says he was just protecting his dog when he shot a man in Valdosta. That's after he says the man threw a brick at the dog. The homeowner's wife began screaming after she saw that dog get hit. Reports say the man came towards the homeowner with a shard of glass and refused to leave the property. The homeowner fired 3 shots at the ground, one of which ricocheted and hit the man in the foot. That investigation continues. And President John F. Kennedy declared May 15th, Monday, Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the following week has come to be known as National Police Week.
In Wakulla County, it's not just police officers who are being honored this morning. The Wakulla Correctional Facility will host an annual wreath-laying ceremony to celebrate the lives of officers with the Department of Corrections. Our Sierra Ferguson is there ahead of this morning's event with more, and Sierra is going to be giving us a full update of what we can expect for today.
Yeah, we should be able to check in with her in the next 30. We should be able to check in with her now, Sierra.
Hi, Malcolm. Now, today's event is about honoring the 49 men and women who gave their lives in the line of duty while working for the Department of Corrections. But it's also about the work that's done every day to supervise and rehabilitate those incarcerated in Florida. The job done by people who work for the Department of Corrections is not an easy one. And that's why the Secretary of the Department, Julie Jones, tells me it's so important to hold events like the one scheduled to happen this morning to make sure that the work that's done to keep prisons operating doesn't go unacknowledged.
I think sometimes with the prison system, the prisons, jails, we sometimes forget, out of sight, out of mind, with those individuals that we send away to be incarcerated and be rehabilitated. We forget about the hard work that happens behind those fences because we're not exposed to it.
Now, during the annual wreath-laying ceremony happening here today, the names of the 49 fallen officers will be read aloud. Then 2 officers who lost their lives in service this year, Sergeant George Ramos and Systems Project Consultant Karen Smith, will both have their names engraved in the officer memorial. Displays that include a department flag will be presented to area leadership and will be given to the Ramos and Smith families. Now, Ramos and Smith will also have their names engraved at a national site in Washington, D.C. Live from the Wakulla Correctional Institution, Sierra Ferguson, WTXL ABC 27.
Sierra, thank you. And recently, Leon County deputies had the honor of placing a wreath at the Tomb of the Unknowns that's located at the Arlington National Cemetery. It was in memory of Sheriff Willie Langston, who was shot and killed by an escaped Georgia convict at a camp outside of Spring Hill in 1909. The sheriff received information the suspect was in an area. While searching, the suspect then shot him.
The developer of the center of Tallahassee has passed away. President of Blackwater Resources, Alex Baker, died at the age of 63. It is unknown at this time what caused his passing. Commissioner Gil Ziffer reacting, saying, quote, "It's a real loss for Tallahassee and also the city is that Alex has influenced. We're confident that the company will continue to grow in his absence and that the center of Tallahassee will live up to his goals and vision," end quote.
So now at 6:08, a Tallahassee school that serves students with intellectual disabilities unveils plans for a recreation space for students and the neighborhood. Tuesday, the Gretchen Everhart School and their Excellence Foundation announced plans for Owl Landing. It's a park tailored for Everhart's older students. Owl Landing will be built on the field adjacent to the school, but it's across the street from the scene of a murder that happened last week. The principal says despite this recent incident, she doesn't believe that safety will be a concern for those students. The goal is to start construction next month on that park, and they hope it opens just in time for school to start this fall. Plans for a new medical college in South Georgia could bring in tens of millions of dollars annually in revenue.
Currently, Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine, or PCOM, is awaiting accreditation approval for a 4-year medical school in Colquitt County. Daryl Moore, the president of the Moultrie-Colquitt County Economic Development Authority, says this would not only bring much needed medical professionals to the region, but it would also create a major economic boost as more people take up residency in the county. Moore expects to hear if the accreditation is approved in late August.
6:09 now, a Valdosta couple has been traveling across South Georgia to present scholarships to students in honor of their son. James Eunice drowned while duck hunting in 2011. Ever since then, his parents have been sharing his message of making a difference in the lives of others. Throughout the day, John and Tammy Eunice awarded 13 $500 scholarships in South Georgia. The Eunices visited schools in Cairo, Bainbridge, and Camilla and have given out 80 scholarships just this year. You can read more on their story on our website, WTXL.TV.
Really making an impact in the community.
Oh, yeah.
And taking a look at the weather. Good morning to you, meteorologist Alex Cordero.
That's right. Good morning. Let's take a look at the Napleton Infinity Tower cam. Temperatures at around 70 degrees at this point in time in Tallahassee. That's specifically at the airport, probably a little warmer given the amount of pavement and buildings located in downtown Tallahassee. Here's a look at the school day cast for today. Temperatures in the mid to upper 60s in some areas away from the coastline. When you get closer toward the coastline, temperatures will obviously cool off, but in the afternoons, they'll warm on up. Temperatures near 90 or above, feeling like summer. Right now, really not seeing a lot of those mid 60s that was just mentioned because we haven't fallen below that 70-degree threshold yet. Still think it's possible, but for now, we stay above it. And the radar and satellite picture looking quiet. We may see a few clouds developing later on today. More details coming up in just a few minutes.
As hundreds of refugee families work to rebuild their lives in Tallahassee, people are coming together to help. More than 200 refugee families are currently living in the capital city. These refugees are fleeing violence and persecution in other countries, coming to the United States legally to start over.
But that journey is not an easy one. Our Ashley Richmond takes a look at what's being done here at home to help refugees.
According to the International Rescue Committee, out of the nearly 20 million refugees in the world, fewer than 1% are considered for resettlement. But even when a family is chosen to come to our country, their challenges don't end at the airport.
Ready, 1, 2, 3.
Until recently, Patrick Pili, his wife, and their 6 kids had never posed for a family photo. It's these little luxuries, things we often take for granted, that mean so much to Patrick and his family.
The life is very good. I'm a good life here.
The family just moved to Tallahassee about a year ago, coming as refugees from the Democratic Republic of Congo in Africa. Although coming here was the first time the family felt truly safe, the move and complete culture shock that comes with it wasn't easy.
In Africa, to United States, is very different.
Helping families deal with those differences are Susie Kopp and Una Bilic. They work for the International Rescue Committee. The nonprofit has only had an office in Tallahassee since 2015, but since it opened, the city has been flooded with refugees.
Tallahassee is a good place for resettlement. The refugees can actually kind of integrate easier jobs and so forth, education, low cost of living.
When a refugee family first comes to America, they have 90 days of help from the government. In that time, they have to get the foundation of their lives established. That includes seeing a doctor, getting kids enrolled in school, learning English, and so much more. So what happens after that 90 days? Nonprofit groups, local churches, and people like Jen Stewart and Alex Workman step in.
My name is Alex, and I am a photographer, filmmaker, and storyteller here in Tallahassee, Florida.
Through their involvement with the local church, Workman and Stewart both joined a group of people working to help local refugee families. Workman recently launched refugeesoftlh.com, a website where he posts pictures and tells the stories of the families he's met. The project also raises money, collects donations, and helps people in Tallahassee get to know our local refugee families.
These are families who are already here. For me, the politics is behind us. So that's kind of how I see this not really being political, but being about our community, welcoming people into our community.
These are human beings. These are human beings that have seen suffering that I have never even dreamed of in my worst nightmares. And they're coming here for a better life. And it just happens to be in my town, which is now their town. And it's really that simple.
Showing something as simple as a picture can help a refugee family show their new city how much this fresh start means.
I need to show Tallahassee we can sit together, we're one.
The storytellers at refugeesoftlh.com aim to post new stories about a different refugee family each week. We've posted a link to that website and the International Rescue Committee's website at WTXL.tv. In the studio, Ashley Richmond, WTXL ABC 27.
And still ahead this morning on Sunrise, it's being called the biggest cyber attack in history. Why experts say it's a danger to the U.S. Stay with us. It's 6:14.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us here on WTXL Midday. I'm Christine Sounders.
And I'm Malcolm Hornsby. New at noon, 2 teens are behind bars after a break-in in Quincy. 19-year-old Tyshawn Pope and 18-year-old Cody Johnson are being charged with burglary and grand theft. Investigators say the two stole TVs, video games, and shoes from a home in the 100 block of Love Street.
Police believe they may be involved in other recent burglaries as well. If you have any information, you're asked to call Quincy Police at 850-627-0138.
2 people are seriously hurt after a crash in Taylor County. Florida Highway Patrol troopers say Jean Gump was speeding on Pottsville Road in Perry when she lost control of her SUV and hit a tree. The 21-year-old, along with her passenger, were taken to a nearby hospital in serious condition. A child was also in the car at the time of that crash and suffered minor injuries. Gump is now charged with failure to use care in violation of a learner's driver's license restriction.
The investigation continues into the cause of death of a Tallahassee baby. According to authorities, officers were called to a home on North Woodward Avenue early Saturday morning to reports of a child not breathing. The infant was taken to Tallahassee Memorial Hospital and was pronounced dead around 4 a.m. A neighbor tells us the infant's mother knocked on their door for help.
It was three something in the morning. We were banging on the door. Just constantly banging. Me and my mom come to the door. She's holding the child. She says, "My baby's not breathing. Please call, help me, please help me." Call 911. Right now it's panicking, running back and forth. She told me to go check on the kids, and it was chaos.
We will continue to follow this story and bring you the very latest.
A woman is behind bars after officials say she showed up drunk to a presentation in Moultrie hosted by Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Lisa Jeffries is charged with disorderly conduct. The 54-year-old was given a breathalyzer test, which she failed. Officials say the event was a court-mandated presentation hosted by the South Georgia chapter of MAD. Gary Robinson, the community action site leader for this chapter of MAD, says advocates are not asking people to stop drinking, simply to stop drinking and driving. Robinson tells us incidents like this happen all the time, and he calls Jeffrey's actions, quote, plain disrespectful.
In Jackson County, an angry parent causes a school lockdown after making threats. According to the Jackson County Sheriff's Office, deputies responded to Hope School in Marianna Friday morning. When they arrived, the parent, Melissa Dale Hager, was allegedly yelling profanities at faculty, saying her husband would return with a machine gun to shoot school staff. The 51-year-old was charged with disruption of educational institution. Hager is awaiting her first court appearance.
3 teens behind bars after leading police on a chase from Leon to Gadsden County early yesterday morning. Tallahassee police were called to a robbery on Ocala Road. The victim told officers they were held up at gunpoint by 2 suspects. Moments later, similar suspects were described at the scene of a different robbery on Hayden Road. A witness spotted the suspect's car at a gas station on Jackson Bluff Road, and a pursuit began. Officials say it finally ended when the suspect's car crashed. 3 teens were taken into custody and booked in the Leon County Jail.
Well, here's something you don't see every day. A truck carrying watermelons roll over on the westbound exit ramp of I-10 from US 90, dumping the fruit all over the roadway. Suwannee County Fire Rescue crews say the driver lost control of the vehicle, causing it to overturn. He suffered minor injuries but refused treatment. No one else was injured in the incident.
A local medical marijuana dispensary says it is not violating Florida state law by selling cannabis that could potentially be broken down and made into smokable marijuana. Trulieve began selling its first whole flower cannabis product last week, meant for vaping. Vaping is allowed under state law, but smoking is prohibited. Trulieve CEO Kim Rivers said the company has issued warnings to patients that the product should only be used for vaping. A Department of Health spokeswoman said the product was approved by the Office of Compassionate Use and that they are keeping a close eye on this one.
Meanwhile, a medical marijuana dispensary is still in the works in Tallahassee's Killarn neighborhood. It would be the city's second dispensary, with plans for others temporarily put on hold. Sutera has a physical location on Village Square Boulevard, and the company is working on the legal rights to dispense at the site. In the meantime, it is seeing eligible patients who can fill out forms for local deliveries.
Well, Alex, you say today starts the streak of 90-degree temperatures.
Well, maybe continues it, although yesterday we fell just short in Tallahassee.
Just short.
Yeah, 88 degrees. That's not bad, though. Still very warm outside. Here's a look at the Madison County Weather STEM Network camera. We start out east today near Highway 221. Oh, a beautiful shot. Just a few clouds developing with the moisture that is present, just a limited amount of it. So not anticipating rainfall today, but a few clouds expected. You can see that with the visible satellite imagery. Just the rows of cumulus popping on up, mainly along Highway 319, traveling from Tallahassee down to Crawfordville and area south toward Panacea. That's where the cloud cover is really focused. Again, not really the rain type of cloud, just a little bit of puffy cumulus clouds. No harm there. Temperatures at this point in time, 81 to 84 degrees with the hottest spots in Perry and Tallahassee, stretching northwest into Marietta. We're also seeing 84, 82 all across US 84 in South Georgia, stretching from Homerville all the way west into Bainbridge. Temperatures rather uniform. Other small sites, St. Mark's 80, Bloxham 82, Dothan also seeing 84 at this hour. And over the next couple of hours, we'll quickly warm on up. Aside from those small clouds that are building on in, we should stay mainly sunny with 90s as soon as 3 to 4 o'clock roll around, and then into sunset will obviously cool on down. But the air mass is modifying to the time of year. It's May, so it's not going to be drastically cool in the mornings. Not expecting those 50s. It's going to stay in the 60s. It'll be somewhat humid, so the bugs will start flying around late at night. You may hear the frogs if you're near a body of water. I know I am. That's why I mention it. Radar and satellite at this point in time, again, it's just quiet. There's too much dry air, and the forecast and focus keeps the rainfall away from us. So a quiet Monday in the works, and we'll likely see an extended period of quiet conditions. I'll highlight more on when we'll likely see our next big rain dose coming up in just a few minutes. A hint, it's likely going to fall on the weekend once again. Christine, Malcolm.
Thank you, Alex. Both the north and southbound lanes on I-85 have reopened weeks ahead of schedule in Atlanta today. A fire sent a section of the roadway crumbling down on March 30th. It took GDOT crews just over 6 weeks to demolish and repair the interstate, almost a month and a half ahead of the initial scheduled completion date. Crews were able to complete the job so quickly because workers logged 12-hour shifts, and new technology was used to help speed up the process. There was also a financial incentive to finish early, a $3.1 million bonus for the contractor.
A federal appeals court in Seattle is set to hold a hearing today on President Donald Trump's revised travel ban. A 3-judge panel will consider whether to uphold an injunction on the revised ban on travel from 6 Muslim-majority nations. The Trump administration wants the 9th Circuit Court of Appeals to block the injunction on the ban issued by a federal judge in Hawaii. That judge ruled that the ban violated the Constitution's Establishment Clause by disfavoring Muslims. Today's hearing is scheduled to last 40 minutes.
North Korea is claiming a major nuclear success. The country says this latest missile test proves it can put a large nuclear warhead on a missile, a goal that has been a key ambition for Pyongyang. Now, North Korea also claiming it is capable of striking the mainland of USA. But there's no independent evidence to support those claims as of right now. Much more in store as WTXL Midday continues. Meteorologist Alex Barrow starting off this week with really hot temperatures.
Yeah, and we're talking all about an event to empower women coming to the capital city. A live interview coming up in just a few minutes.
Live from the WTXL studios, this is ABC 27's News at 5.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Jade Balexa. This is your News at 5. Seniors in our area will have a new option to consider when looking for a place to live. A retirement community is being built in Tallahassee's northeast section. And WTXL ABC 27 Stephen G1 Mall has an exclusive first look at how this project will benefit the Big Bend.
Development in the capital city never seems to stop. Last year, we told you about a retirement center project on Lambla Road and Hermitage Boulevard. Now, Mulligan Park is well on its way to completion.
There's clearly a need here. There's no question about it. And we're excited.
Unlike most options in the area, this will be a fully independent living community catered for senior citizens.
This is for people who have gotten to a place in life where they still can do life on their own. They want their own private apartment. department, but they just need a little bit of support, and that's where we come in.
The owners of this retirement community have built and managed 400 of these nationwide, and here in the Big Bend, they want to provide new resources for a growing senior population.
We have a saltwater heated pool, we have a bocce ball court, a movie theater, beauty salon, billiards room, an activities center, a library, lots of amenities.
Spokeswoman Susan Moss says Mulligan Park is already getting lots of interest, with more seniors moving to the Big Bend.
They're coming here to be close to their kids, but also this is also for natives. The people that live here in Tallahassee, they don't want to leave. So here is the next stage for them.
In Tallahassee, Stephen Jewin-Mall, WTXL, ABC 27.
And Mulligan Park is slated to be completed in July and hopes to move in residents in August. For those interested in living at this community, we'll put the details up on our website, WTXL.tv. Meantime, the Senior Center in Tallahassee is helping older citizens learn about Asian culture in the capital city. Participants say it's important for older people in the community to keep their minds sharp and continue to learn about new subjects.
A community grows because of the different cultures that make up the community. In Tallahassee, we're very lucky. We have so many different kinds of cultures that come to the city, and they stay here. And as an Asian, I want to share mine.
And today, seniors enjoyed exhibits, crafts, entertainment, and were able to sample Asian foods. School officials are reporting an incident involving a student who brought a BB gun to Childs High School. According to the principal, some other students told a school official that they had information about a fellow student in possession of a weapon. Officials say the student was approached while he was in class and the gun was confiscated without incident. The principal said that the Leon County Sheriff's Office was not involved because the weapon was not a real gun. He says that the punishment for the student will fall in the limits that school board policies will allow. Now, in a letter sent home to parents Wednesday, Childs principal saying, quote, "I want to assure you that the safety of our students is the #1 priority. I want to again thank the great students who attend the school, their parents, and the teachers and staff at Childs for helping to keep our campus safe and create an environment where education can thrive." Now, you can view the full letter on our website right now at WTXL.tv. A teen is dead after an ATV accident in Thomas County. Georgia State Patrol troopers report the accident happened just before midnight. Troopers say 19-year-old Erica Atkinson of Cairo died after the ATV was being ridden recklessly in a field with several riders. It was unknown if Atkinson was the driver. However, troopers say she was thrown off. And a Tallahassee man is behind bars after police say he tried to kill his ex-girlfriend. According to authorities, Charles Williams Jr. went to his ex-girlfriend's house on the morning of May 4th. Tallahassee police say he attacked her in the bathroom, fired a gun into the wall, and hit her. The victim told officers she was able to scream to neighbors for help. And when they got there, Williams took off. Now he's charged with attempted murder, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, robbery with a firearm, and firing a missile into an occupied dwelling. The Florida Highway Patrol says they have arrested a Miami man in Suwannee County for human trafficking. Happened Tuesday around 11:40 a.m. Leonardo Garcia Lavin was stopped on I-10 in Suwannee County for a traffic violation. And during the interviews with the driver and 2 passengers, troopers determined that Garcia Lavin was transporting the passengers from Texas to Florida. When Border Patrol officers arrived, all 3 people were released to them. FHP says that Garcia Lavin is being charged with human trafficking. And an arrest has been made in a homicide investigation in Jackson County. The sheriff's office says Damian O'Neill has been charged with the murder of Keisha Smith. Smith's body was found back in April. According to deputies, O'Neill and Smith were in a relationship. They say the investigation is ongoing and have not announced if O'Neill will be facing any more charges. Former U.S. Representative Corrine Brown has been found guilty of taking money from a charity that was purported to be giving scholarships to poor students. Now, the jury's verdict came after prosecutors accused 70-year-old Brown of using hundreds of thousands of dollars from the One Door for Education Foundation for lavish parties, trips, and shopping excursions. She was found guilty on 18 of the 22 counts against her, including lying on tax and financial disclosure forms. Brown, a Democrat Democrat who represented the Florida district that included Jacksonville since 1993, had pleaded not guilty to all charges, including fraud. Brown's former chief of staff, Ronnie Simmons, and One Door's president pleaded guilty after their federal indictments for misusing the charity's funds and testified against Brown. Blue ribbons stand lined up on the old Lowndes County Courthouse lawn as a reminder of some fallen heroes. The 144 ribbons each represent an officer who sacrificed their life in 2016. The ribbons are displayed to remind folks of Peace Officer Appreciation Day, which is Monday. Lowndes County Commissioners also held a proclamation to recognize the sacrifices local law enforcement officers make every day.
It's just a great reminder time for us to again remember those that have lost their lives, that have paid that ultimate sacrifice, and then also support those who are still serving to protect our community as well as their families.
There will be a candlelight vigil this Saturday on the historic courthouse lawn. Well, riders roll on through Virginia for day 2 of the Police Unity Tour. It's been a soggy day for the cyclists, but they're pushing through to honor the fallen. Tonight at 6, we'll hear from Officer Rochelle Denmark as she pedals on. And salary raises are in store for all Valdosta City School employees. School board members passed 4 proposals during their board meeting to increase pay for paraprofessionals and all employees by 2%, to increase the local supplement, which works like a bonus, by 10%, increase postseason compensation, which rewards coaches for postseason games and wins. Administrators say the raise is long overdue.
It is that one way that we can, the board and I can show our appreciation to all of our employees.
The pay raises will go into effect in July and September. They are funded partially from both state and local funds. A proposal to remove a Depression-era wall separating the sale of liquor and groceries was among 17 bills sent to Governor Rick Scott this week. The heavily lobbied liquor wall measure would repeal a 1934 law that requires liquor stores to be standalone facilities. The legislation narrowly passed in the Senate by 4 votes and in the Florida House of Representatives by a single vote during the 2017 session. Retailers such as Walmart and Target have pushed for the repeal, which would allow them to sell hard liquor in their stores. The measure has been opposed in recent years by Publix and ABC Fine Wine and Spirits. In addition, owners of small liquor stores are calling on Scott to veto the proposal, fearing it will force them out of business. Mike Doolin is with Market Square Liquors in Tallahassee, a locally owned firm with just a few stores. He hopes Scott sides with small businesses over out-of-state corporations.
Walmart has a competitive edge. They buy in such large quantities that there's no way the person with 2 or 3 liquor stores can compete with them price-wise.
Proponents of the bill say removing the wall will make it more convenient for Floridians to purchase liquor. Opponents say convenience is yet another reason they want Scott to veto the bill, fearing it will allow teenagers easy access to hard liquor. Scott has until May 24th to sign, veto, or allow the bill to become law without his signature. And more news across Florida. The fiance of former NFL player Aaron Hernandez says she thought a suicide was a hoax. Shiana Jenkins Hernandez says in an interview on Dr. Phil scheduled to air next week that she thought a cruel person was playing a trick on her when she heard Hernandez hanged himself in his prison cell on April 19th, days after he was acquitted of a double murder. He was still serving a life sentence for another killing. Jenkins Hernandez said her last conversation with the former New England Patriots player was positive, and she felt like we were looking so bright. She also addresses rumors about Hernandez's purported secret love life and whether she thinks he killed himself so she could collect millions of dollars. The interview with Dr. Philip McGraw is scheduled to air Monday and Tuesday. And Governor Rick Scott is taking charge of a super PAC whose goal is to rebrand the Republican Party and help President Donald Trump. Scott on Wednesday became chairman of NewRepublican.org, which was founded by Republican strategist Alex Castellanos. Now, Scott's former chief of staff and 2014 campaign manager Melissa Stone will serve as executive director. Castellanos will Castellanos will be the organization's senior advisor. Scott said in a statement that one of the goals will be to help Trump force real change upon a political system in a city that hates change. He also contends that the organization will appeal and target younger voters as well as Hispanic voters. The group said in a release that the Super PAC is planning on launching digital and television ads in the next few months. And meanwhile, in Georgia, the largest cargo ship ever to visit ports on the U.S. East Coast is so long the Statue of Liberty in Washington Monument could fit end to end along its deck and still leave room for Big Ben. The Costco development arrived today at the Port of Savannah after cruising past dozens of onlookers who cheered and took photos of the 1,200-foot vessel from Savannah's downtown riverfront. Former ship's officer Andrew Evans exclaimed to his wife, "It takes up the whole river." The giant ship stopped in Norfolk, Virginia earlier this week. From Savannah, it's heading to Charleston, South Carolina, before returning to Hong Kong. It comes as Savannah and other U.S. ports scramble to deepen their harbors so such large ships can pass with full loads even at low tide. And Georgia's governor has appointed a panel to investigate the charges pending against a sheriff accused of exposing himself in an Atlanta park. DeKalb County Sheriff Jeffrey Mann was arrested Saturday after a police officer said Mann exposed himself to the officer in Piedmont Park and then ran. Now, Mann faces charges of indecency and obstruction of an officer. He has said it was a misunderstanding, though, and state law allows the governor to convene a panel of 2 sheriffs and the state attorney general to investigate and to recommend whether a sheriff facing criminal or ethics charges should be suspended. In an executive order today, Dill instructed Attorney General Chris Carr, Newton County Sheriff Ezell Brown, and Peach County Sheriff Terry Dees to investigate and make a report within 30 days. Let's head over now to our sports director, Allison Posey.
Thank you, Jay. The 4th-ranked Florida State softball team entered today's quarterfinal game in the ACC tournament a perfect 24-0 in conference play. They're the 3-time defending conference tournament champions, and this weekend the Noles, they're looking to make it a 4-peat. Florida State opening tournament play today against Virginia and off to a great start. Bottom of the 2nd inning was scoreless. 2 on for freshman Danny Morgan, and that one is out of here. The 3-run shot makes it 3-zip Seminoles. Florida State not done with the long ball just yet. Bottom of the 3rd, 4-0. Anna Shellnut, another rookie going yard. Another 3-run bomb for Florida State. It's 7-0. Same inning. Now 11-0. Same batter, Shellnut. This time a grand slam. It's 15-0 Florida State. Seminoles cruise 16-zip the final today. They'll face Notre Dame tomorrow in the tournament semifinals. The Florida A&M Lady Rattlers softball team opened MEAC tournament play today. FAMU also looking for a 4-peat in conference tournament titles. Off to a great start. Lady Rattlers pick up the 6-0 win over Coppin State. They play again tonight at 7 o'clock. That's a look at your sports at 5. Jane, back to you.
Thank you, Allison. And as your news at 5 continues, the stand-in FBI director speaking today, saying the firing of James Comey will not affect an ongoing investigation into global threats.
Well, there is the threat of rain ahead in our storm team forecast, but not necessarily for this evening. We've seen a little bit of extra thin cloud cover and some impacts on those temperatures. They're not quite as scorchingly hot as they have been. I'll let you know what the thin clouds mean in the overall forecast ahead.
Live from the WTXL studios, this is ABC 27's News at 5:30.
A fire that burned down a historic school in Quincy back in March is still affecting the community. Hello, I'm Abby Maurer.
And I'm Paulo Salazar. The William Stevens School was built in the 1920s and was recently the home of a food pantry for the community. The fire forcing the people who run the pantry to find a new location to store the items. They are opening a temporary location at the corner of Florida Avenue and Cone Street with a lease granted to them by the county that will last about a year. Carolyn Ford worked at the school for almost 25 years and says she's hoping to use the new location to help them get the program up and running.
Well, Garrison County has been so helpful. They have stepped up.
They have assisted us in so many different things. The whole community is very happy about what is going on, and so we're just looking forward to the future.
Ford says the program has been in place in Gadsden County for over 15 years. Officials are wanting to restore the old school to its former glory. The cause of the fire remains under investigation.
Also in Gadsden County, a bike race with a history is coming up on Memorial Day weekend in Quincy. Organizers say the event is all about healthy living in the community. They say the race showcases the community and allows people young and old to participate.
We've got a vibrant community here in Gadsden County, and when you see bike racers going through corners at 25 to 30 miles an hour, just flying at top speed, you see young people, you see old people, in this wonderful community. It's beautiful visually.
The bike race starts at 8 in the morning. Organizers say on Saturday the races are focused in the downtown area, and on Sunday they hit the country roads around Quincy.
Happening in your community, it's National Appreciation Day, and to celebrate, Leon County Schools Superintendent Rocky Hanna is visiting area schools. Hanna delivered candy to every teacher in the district today. He says it's just a small token of appreciation for all the teachers do for the community. Hanna also made an appearance at the Leon County Commissioners meeting to recognize the teachers in Leon County. He wanted to show that he understands the impact teachers have, especially on their students.
The teachers are what drive our school system, and we could never do enough to recognize them and to honor them and to show them how much we truly appreciate them. Grateful to the County Commission and to Principal Jackson or Commissioner Jackson for bringing us in and having a resolution to let the community know just what our teachers do on every single day to make our child's lives better, and I'm just so very thankful.
And for National Teachers Appreciation Day, Leon County Schools also posting on Facebook just how grateful they are for the hard work of their teachers.
America's Second Harvest is gearing up for its biggest food drive of the year. Stamp Out Hunger is this Saturday. Organizers say it will benefit the 61,200 food insecure neighbors in Leon County. Here's how it works. Local letter carriers will deliver empty bags to homes this week. Residents are asked to fill the bags with healthy, low sodium, low sugar, and high protein items such as tuna, peanut butter, soup, canned meats, whole grains, olive oil, or canned fruit in non-glass containers, and put the bag by your mailbox. The mail carriers will pick up the bags and they will be delivered to Second Harvest.
This week the carriers will be delivering bags to their stops for their postal deliveries. And then on Saturday morning, if you get a bag, or even if you don't have a bag, if you could put some non-perishable food items, canned goods, rice and beans, especially canned vegetables. That's a big need for us right now.
For more details on how to participate, you can visit our website, WTXL.tv.
Talking your money tonight, Floridians are in line for a pair of 3-day sales tax holidays. The holidays include 3 days for hurricane season and 3 days for back-to-school shopping. Under a measure approved by lawmakers, shoppers will no longer pay the tampon tax. The tax package falls far short of Governor Rick Scott's request for $618.4 million in tax cuts. It also offers a modest reduction to a 6% tax on commercial rentals. Lawmakers had to extend the 60-day annual session scheduled to end last Friday to complete a budget. Last week, the Senate trimmed the House's $300 million tax cut proposal to just over $90 million. They voted 34-4 to approve the tax package.
One of the things we did with this was a responsible tax package of giving back to a variety of different people in a variety of different ways so that they could go forth and improve their lives, and some of them even return on investment, improve the lives of all of us.
During the back-to-school tax holiday, shoppers will have to pay no sales tax on clothes, backpacks, and footwear under $60, school supplies that cost $15 or less, and personal computers and accessories under $750. Job seekers, listen up. The Labor Department says that there are currently 5.7 million job openings nationwide. The record is 6 million set last July. The numbers bring both good news and bad news. On the positive front, that number means employers are hiring and workers are confident about leaving one job for another. But on the other hand, some employers are struggling to find the skilled workers needed to fill a job. For instance, such positions as electricians and carpenters are in short supply. And Target appears to be preparing to challenge Amazon when it comes to speedy delivery, but there's a few caveats. Starting this summer, Target will let customers order common household products like coffee, detergent, and then deliver the items to their doorstep the next day. But here's the catch. You have to be eligible. You have to be a Target Red Card member, live in Minneapolis area, and place your order by 1:30 p.m. local time to receive your item the next day. Target says it would charge what it calls a low flat fee for shipping, but didn't elaborate. It's still unclear when and if the program called Target Restock will expand to other markets.
Topping your tech headlines, it's now easier to qualify for free shipping on Amazon. The company has lowered the minimum for non-Prime members to $25 of eligible items. That's according to a shipping page on its website. The threshold used to be $49, then it was lowered to $35 in February, and now it's been lowered again. The latest drop comes after Walmart started offering free 2-day shipping without a membership fee on orders of at least $35. The FCC says its website suffered a denial of service attack Sunday night that crashed its comment section. The attack came shortly after comedian John Oliver asked viewers of Last Week Tonight to visit the site and comment against the agency's net neutrality plan. The FCC plans to weaken rules that forbid internet service providers from purposely speeding up or slowing down access to certain services. Critics fear that will prevent smaller companies from competing against large companies that can afford to pay for higher speeds. Oliver slammed the action and provided a shortcut where viewers could directly access the FCC's comment section. Now, the FCC says the cyber attackers that crashed the site were not trying to leave comments. The motive behind the attack is not known.
That does it for your tech and money news.
So to come here on WTXL, ABC 27 News at 5:30, 13 people are found responsible for a rash of car burglaries over the weekend in Thomasville. Tonight, why police say they don't believe it was one big crime ring.
Abundant sunshine, warming temperatures up to that magical 90 mark, which we will see a lot more often in the next several weeks and months to come. But at least it gives us a scenic view from the Mapleton Tower Cam atop the DoubleTree, and not so much smoke and haze around either.
Live from the WTXL studios, this is ABC 27's News at 6.
Today, law enforcement agencies across the country are flying American flags at half-staff to honor officers who have died in the line of duty. Hello, I'm Abby Maurer.
And I'm Jane Balexa. May 15th is designated as National Peace Officers Memorial Day, the first time in 1962 by President John F. Kennedy. And as National Police Week continues, we're remembering 2 South Georgia officers who lost their lives while serving their communities. WTXL ABC 27 Stephen G. Winmall has more on their service with a closer look tonight.
As flags across the country are flown at half-mast, they're a simple reminder of the price paid by those sworn to protect. Officer Norman Murkerson was a member of Bainbridge Public Safety in the 1950s. On November 16, 1953, Murkerson was involved in a serious accident when his motorcycle crashed. He died a day later from his injuries. He was just 30 years old, on the force for only a year.
They paid the ultimate sacrifice, serving and protecting their communities, just like Officer Norman Murkerson did in November of 1953.
In 2008, Decatur County Deputy Robert Griffin was killed in an accident responding to a suicide call. He was 44, leaving behind a wife and 3 children. In Bainbridge, you'll find signs like this urging the community to back the blue. Bainbridge Public Safety says it should be more than just a holiday to support and honor officers past and present.
these officers are serving the community. They're putting their lives on the line to make sure their communities are safe.
As the community remembers Officer Murkerson and Deputy Griffin, thousands of others have lost their lives. And during National Police Week, the memories are even stronger.
And we don't want to forget them, and we want the community to back those officers who are out here doing everything they can to protect the citizens.
In Bainbridge, Stephen Jewenmall, WTXL, ABC 27.
According to the nonprofit Officer Down Memorial page, 48 officers have lost their lives this year, including Lowndes County Deputy Michael Butler in February.
Rain over the weekend has helped slow the growth of wildfires in some parts of the Sunshine State, but others continue to grow, especially in the southern part of the state. There are 124 total active wildfires covering more than 40,000 acres. Of those, 29 of the fires were larger than 100 acres each. Florida Forest Service Director Jim Carroll says the weekend rain was welcome as it allowed many firefighters to strengthen their fire lines. However, he says the rainfall was scattered and much of the state still has drought conditions.
Once you get into the peninsula, it's very dry, and getting an inch of rain as an example and being 10 inches behind doesn't catch you up. Still got a ways to go.
Carroll says nearly all fires are started by humans, and people need to be careful when burning trash, using charcoal grills, or driving vehicles off-road.
So will we get some more rain this week? Let's check in now with our Chief Meteorologist, Casanova Nurse.
He has our first look outside tonight. Cass?
Well, if you were fortunate enough to get in on some downpours on Saturday, or perhaps even with that little cluster of storms that came in Friday night, that's about all we're going to get, at least for a couple of days. And just like the gentleman said in that report, the rain, even though it may have been heavy in your neighborhood, probably a good thing for you, but it does not make up for the deficit that still exists. And the deficit is much wider in the peninsula compared to here in the Big Bend, but we do have increasing drought classifications, especially across South Georgia, where there are a few spots of severe level drought. But we're not going to get any relief from that today or tonight because the sky is generally clear. The air is very dry, hardly any clouds, and certainly no chance for rain. So zero rain coverage for the evening, with temperatures still trying to hold on to the 90s in areas like Bainbridge and Live Oak, 88 right now, Valdosta and Tallahassee, with winds mostly coming in from a northerly direction across the Big Bend region. Even that sea breeze is not very evident unless you're right at the coast in areas like Apalachicola. In Valdosta this evening, expecting it to stay primarily clear and warm, at least through 7, 8, 9 o'clock, and then finally getting into the 60s as most folks sleep. But if you enjoy temperatures in the 90s, then the next several days will be right up your alley. We'll discuss those numbers in your Storm Team forecast.
Big business coming to town. That's what many want. In addition to growing the economy, it also means jobs. But what if the business was a prison? And what if it were coming to a city near you? To Decatur County leaders, the idea not only sounds good, but profitable.
A private prison in Decatur County is an idea that's been floating around for a while, but could be getting closer to reality. To get an idea of what it could potentially be like if a new prison were built in the county, we visited an area similar in size with a private prison of its own that's been in existence for 20 years. Lake City, a quaint town with a population about 12,000 people. The biggest employer, the school system. Not too far behind, the Lake City Youthful Offender Facility. It ranks among the top 15 major employers with about 240 workers.
Yeah, they hire quite a few people, and they're good jobs and steady. And the people that I've spoke to that have worked there have been pleased with the jobs and satisfied.
According to the Florida Department of Corrections website, it houses 894 offenders, ages 19 to 24.
They had a culinary school, and they have a GED program that I've spoke at. So there's been a lot going on out there.
The mayor of Lake City, who's also a lawyer, has visited many prisons before. He says Lake City isn't much different.
And you're checked extensively, you know, going and coming and all, so it's a new feeling a lot of times to go in those places and to be there, but it's similar to just about every one I've been in.
He says a correctional facility has worked well so far for Lake City, which is good news for those in Decatur County, hoping the same can happen for them.
About 5 years ago, we had a request for proposal go out from a private prison. It was CCA, which is Corrections Corporation of America. It went out, and there were like 40 areas that they were considering, 40 different counties. And they weren't just Georgia, it was Georgia, Florida, and Alabama that I'm aware of. But they pared it down from 40 to 12, from 12 to 3. And then from that 3, they pared it down to Decatur County. So it was a pretty hardy competition.
The Corrections Corporation of America, now known as CoreCivic, operates the prison in Lake City. We've reached out to them, and the company hasn't responded about the possibility of one in Bainbridge. The Development Authority says in the end, the potential to create careers is why they're looking forward to the private prison concept and why it's been on their radar for some time.
But again, there still has to be a bid go out, and they would still have to win the bid to come here. We are just a site to locate the prison that's been approved.
McCaskill also says they've got a spot for it right now.
That's out adjacent to our airport at our county industrial complex out there. Okay. It's a remote site that's on the other side of the landing strip, so it is kind of an isolated site.
The Decatur County Prison and the Decatur County Jail are publicly run, but this would be the first private one.
I think there's always a controversy between public and private. There is with schools and anything that's governmental that's ran privately, and there's issues on both sides of it. And I think, it just depends on the situation.
A situation that could drastically impact Decatur County for years to come. The Lake City mayor adds the facility has been a steady source of employment for the area, and the Development Authority of Bainbridge, Decatur County says the private prison could create 500 careers. And remember, if you have a story idea for The Insider, send us an email to abc27news@wtxl.tv. Attention, The Insiders. Jade Balexa, WTXL, ABC 27.
So to come on WTXL, ABC 27 News at 6. 2 people are dead after plane crashes in New Jersey. We'll show you more.
Plus, both the Florida State and Florida A&M softball teams are preparing for postseason. Allison Posey will have more later in sports.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Casanova Nurse. The earlier thunderstorm complex has diminished greatly. Still some leftover lingering showers, but more offshore, which may have an impact into the early morning hours across the coastal zones, with maybe a renewed possibility for some thunderstorm action, a few gusty winds, and then maybe some breaks of sunshine by tomorrow afternoon. There's your No Wait weather.
Live from the WTXL studios, this is ABC 27's News at 11.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for your News at 11. I'm Paulo Salazar.
And I'm Abby Maurer. Tonight, severe weather left more than 4,000 residents without power in the Big Bend and South Georgia areas. Currently, 290 City of Tallahassee customers are affected, with a high concentration near Capitol Circle Southwest, Crawfordville, and Spring Hill. Officials say fallen limbs were mostly the cause of the outages. About 200 Talquin Electric customers are affected in Gadsden, Leon, and Wakulla counties. 400 Duke Energy customers are without power near Crawfordville. And 95 Tri-County Electric customers are in the dark in Jackson County. In Jefferson County. And let's go down to Chief Meteorologist Casanova Nurse in our Storm Team Weather Center with the latest on the storm activity. And Cass, where is the rain now?
We still have some leftover rain from that earlier complex that blasted through from the Panhandle region. There was the expectation that during the evening it would basically start to weaken, and it did, but not before it made its way into most of the western 2/3 of the Big Bend area and clipping sections of southwest Georgia. But what's left of it now? Just a few little sprinkles and showers across sections of Clinch County, south through Hamilton County. A little stretch of rain that trailed that initial boundary, which is now beginning to throw a little bit more light rain at Jefferson County. And then there's more action offshore, but there's just not much left of that complex that really held itself together longer than anticipated. It did weaken as we expected, but it didn't weaken until it really moved into the Suwannee and Withlacoochee River valleys. Few sprinkles still left over in the St. Marks area, but as we monitor the complex that made its way rather lengthy track from the western panhandle all the way through the central and eastern side of the Big Bend area, it really did help to feed off of the untapped energy that we had across the atmosphere in our region. South winds were fairly brisk, and that did add to the wind cycle that this thunderstorm complex had, and it did produce a few indications of gusty winds, which triggered some storm damage. In fact, at the FSU site where the National Weather Service is situated, a wind gust of 59 miles per hour, and surrounding that, some reports of trees down from earlier tonight, including some of those that may have contributed to power outages in Wakulla County. The rain did help to cool temperatures down somewhat, but we are still in a very moistened atmosphere with dew point levels in the 65 to 70 range. And that was just one cluster of storms that came through. We're still in a southerly wind pattern, and the area of low pressure that triggered the cluster is still well off to the west. So we still have thunderstorm chances going into the early morning hours and portions of your Saturday. We'll detail those ahead.
All right, thanks, Cass. New tonight, Scott Worsley is now the new sheriff of Miller County. This just days after the former sheriff, Shane Rathel, was sentenced to prison for stolen gun charges. Worsley is coming to the sheriff's office from the Colquitt Police Department, where he was the police chief. Worsley says he believes he can make a positive change for the Miller County community.
I decided to just make some changes for Miller County. I'm from here, and I care about Miller County. My family's been raised here. We still live here, and that's why I wanted to become sheriff, to do a good job for the community.
Worsley says he has an open door policy encouraging residents to stop by. He says he's excited to get to work.
A body is identified after being found behind a Tallahassee Staples store. Tallahassee police say the deceased is 58-year-old Brian Jones. Police say Jones was found in the wooded area behind the store. They say Jones died of natural causes. We reached out to his family today, but they didn't want to comment on his death. TPD says Jones's last known address was the Kearney Center, a temporary emergency shelter for the homeless in Tallahassee.
The Leon County Sheriff's Office arrests 5 men during a drug and weapons bust. With the help of citizens' complaints and confidential sources, the narcotics unit was led to search a residence at the Commons apartment complex on the 1300 block of West Tharp Street. The SWAT team was called in to enter the residence, and there they found 6 black males. Deputies say 5 are facing charges, including drug possession. The 6th one was released on scene. Deputies say in the apartment they found 4 pounds of marijuana, prescription pills, MDMA, over $10,000, and 10 firearms. The investigation is ongoing and more arrests are possible.
2 Adel residents are facing charges for trafficking narcotics after police say they found $20,000 worth of cocaine. After an investigation, Adel police say Frederick Moore and Kiara Cooksey are facing charges including trafficking and sale of cocaine, sale and manufacturing of marijuana, and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. Officers served a search warrant this morning at the 1000 block of North Elm Street. They say they found 200 grams of cocaine. They also found an indoor marijuana grow operation, a weapon, and a large amount of money. Both suspects are currently in the Cook County Jail.
A medical marijuana dispensary is still coming together in Tallahassee's Klarn neighborhood. It would be the city's 2nd dispensary, with plans for others temporarily put on hold. Surterra has a physical location on Village Square Boulevard. The company is working on the legal rights to dispense at the site. In the meantime, Surterra is seeing eligible patients who can fill out forms for local deliveries. We've reached out to Surterra for the past 3 days for comment. We're still waiting to hear back.
A viewer contacted WTXL about JetBlue being an airline option to fly out of Tallahassee. Tonight, the airport director is clearing up potential confusion, telling us JetBlue is only a partnering airline. JetBlue has formed what's called a co-share with Silver Airways, which serves Tallahassee International Airport. JetBlue provided WTXL with a statement saying no decisions have been made regarding bringing service to the capital city. Airport Director Chris Curry explains why some travelers may be unclear about JetBlue being listed for Tallahassee flights.
The cities served by Silver from Tallahassee is Tampa, Orlando, and Fort Lauderdale, which are all JetBlue cities. So if you fly out of Tallahassee and you use the GDS system to book your reservation, you can connect with JetBlue out of either of those 3 locations, and you get all the credits associated with flying JetBlue and baggage transfers, etc.
The airport continues to renovate. Recently, airport officials addressed the city commission about making a proposed foreign trade zone a priority.
The overall number of smokers in Florida continues to fall, with roughly 16% of the population lighting up regularly. This is down from 22% 1 decade ago. The number varies greatly from county to county. Even as traditional smoking decreases, the use of electronic cigarettes continues to rise, especially among teenagers. To combat smoking, Tobacco Free Florida, the state-funded anti-smoking campaign, is now focusing on the overall costs to users, both financial and health-related. According to the group, an average smoker dies 10 years sooner than a similar non-smoker, while racking up various extra medical costs throughout their life. And financially, the habit costs a lot of money too. They say on average, a pack-a-day smoker spends about $2,000 a year on cigarettes alone. So if you think about that over the course of 5 years, you could have saved $10,000 if you have quit smoking. Now, the leader of the Tobacco Free Florida says having the support of family and friends is crucial when someone is attempting to quit, as it often takes up to 10 attempts before a person is able to kick the habit. Well, as your News at 11 continues tonight, a huge extortion cyber attack hit dozens of nations today, holding computer data for ransom at various companies.
Plus, Allison Posey's up next with a look at your sports.
Napleton Tower Cam atop the Doubletree Hotel. After a stormy evening, things have settled down, but not necessarily cleared out. It's 65 degrees. Rain-cooled air is around, and it's saturated air at that, with a humidity value of 100%. South-southeast winds at 9 miles per hour. And where we did see the heftiest rain, temperatures have been impacted by lowering, mostly into the mid-60s, but the rain began to fizzle away as it reached the eastern side of the region along I-75. So we still have a good deal of warmth in some parts of the Swanee Valley. Titan radar is fairly quiet aside from a few leftover sprinkles. That broader stormy complex was pretty extensive in its overall length and coverage. But what's left of it now is just a few showers lining around the Osceola River, a few sprinkles northeast of Perry, a little bit of extra ground clutter mixed in with actual raindrops around Homerville, and maybe even a few sprinkles in the Azalea City. The rain is helpful because we have been dry and the drought has been worsening. I think we can do without the severe aspect of the rain action, but we can see how quickly over the last 3 hours it simply just fades away. This was the original forecast for that complex to fizzle out, but it just held itself together a little bit longer as it moved to the east. So we did see more of a stormy impact. This can actually bear well for us in terms of the overnight, early morning severe weather concerns. As low as they have been, we may actually have had this wave of rain and storms stabilize the atmosphere some. And of course, now that we're in nightfall, we're not getting more sunshine and heating to destabilize the atmosphere in general. Areas that missed out on this include the immediate coastal zones, the Forgotten Coast, offshore waters, and maybe the far southeastern Big Bend and the Swanee Valley. So the activity that's still forming and still building off of the Emerald Coast may still have at least some area of unsettledness and instability in the atmosphere to work with, which means some thunderstorms are still expected for the late night, early morning hours in Appalachia Bay, surrounding coastal zones, and the Swanee Valley. We may still have a redevelopment of mostly scattered, non-severe activity as the actual cold front and the swirl of low pressure move into the region during the course of your Saturday. So here's how it all plays out in our modeling. The rapid cast had a fairly decent hold on this evening's activity. It's overdoing at least some of the rain coverage, but I still think there's going to be the expectation early in the morning for thunderstorms that could be potent in Appalachia Bay, which may move into the lower and mid-Swanee Valley. So we'll have to monitor those trends overnight. Our typical forecast and focus model shows a very similar highlight of some storminess in the Forgotten Coast, maybe a little more individualized. So there still will be a zone of concern, at least in the early morning hours, for a few of those thunderstorms that could carry some gusty winds. in terms of maybe damaging wind gusts on par with what we had earlier this evening. Maybe just a scattering of leftover showers with a little more of a stabilizing influence going into your Saturday afternoon and evening. So it's not going to be the clearest or sunniest of Saturdays, not by any means. But I think if we have more storminess, it's likely going to be early in the morning and mostly confined to coastal zones. Forecast lows will be in the mid-60s to near 70. Forecast highs tomorrow back into the mid-80s if we can break out more sunshine. But it seems like the scattered rain activity is not likely to be of severe levels in South Georgia tomorrow. Southwest winds 8 to 20, seas 2 to 4 feet with choppy conditions on bay and inland waters. High pressure builds back next week and the heat comes back too. Stay with us. We'll be right back.